Okay, my name is James L. Jennings. Grew up in Daysville, Alabama, Tallapoosa County. Grew up on a small farm, mother, father, and five siblings. We grew up in a little small house. It was like six of us. Grew up in like a three bedroom house. So we didn't have a lot of money growing up, but we had a lot of pride. Always had plenty to eat because we grew a lot of our food. As a young person, I went to elementary school at a two-room schoolhouse. There was a class 1 through 3 and 4 through 6. And we had two teachers, from one taught 1 through 3 and one taught 4 through 6. So in school, I learned pretty fast. So I got moved up to the second grade early, and then third grade, and then eventually to the fourth grade. But when we got to the sixth grade, the teacher wouldn't skip me. She wouldn't let me go because you had to go to high school then, and she said I was too young to go. So I essentially went through the sixth grade twice. I was kind of helping other students and kind of wasted a year, I guess. And after then, I went to high school in Camp Hill, Alabama. It would be a high school where I went to school at there, and there I was fortunate enough to have some really good teachers. My math teacher, he had gone to Alabama A&M, and he actually came back after school to teach us trigonometry, because if you didn't have at least 8 students want to take a class, the state of Alabama wouldn't pay for anybody to teach it. So Frank Holly, I still give him a lot of credit today for me being able to go into math when I went to college at Alabama A&M. At Alabama A&M, I majored in math and minored in physics. Dr. Howard J. Foster was at A&M, and he started the physics program there. So I was fortunate enough to be one of the first students at Alabama A&M to minor in physics, and now they have a PhD program in physics out there. So, what started as small grew into something great. And while at Alabama A&M, I started co-oping at NASA, so that's how my career started at NASA as a co-op from Alabama A&M University. I guess I kind of got disinterested in school and decided I wanted to do something else, and I went to the co-op office, and there was an opening at NASA, so I was hired to come to NASA. And my first job at NASA was a computer operator in basement of Building 4200, so that's where I started at it. And I was fortunate enough to have a lady that took an interest in me and taught me how to operate the computer. So I operated the computer for a couple co-op periods, and after graduation, I came and to work for NASA full time. The experience for me was a little different because I had always been in an all-black environment as far as formal organization was concerned. So when I came to NASA, the co-op, this was my first experience in a all predominantly white environment. So I was kind of apprehensive and excited and all in one, but turned out that I found out that I could perform in that environment, so it worked out really well. Yeah, when I first came to NASA, at that time there wasn't very many blacks in NASA, especially out here at Marshall. I was a part of the comp lab, and I think the comp lab had more black employees than any other organization out here, because there were some guys that had been in the comp lab since I guess since the inception of NASA. They was working for the Army when they moved those guys over to NASA, so they were there. And I knew some of those guys, so they kind of helped walk me through the pace and told me what to expect. So that was pretty good. My first supervisor was named Rick Seeger, and he was one of those supervisors that, kind of let you do your own thing. He didn't give you a whole lot of guidance, and at that time I thought I needed some. So, I would go to talk to other people about, what I should be doing and that type thing, and that worked out very well. One of the things that I learned kind of early on was that, my skill set and my academic learning was on par with people that was going to like Alabama, Auburn, and that thing. So that was one of the things that I guess gave me the confidence that, I guess to feel like I belong and that I could do the work, because, I could solve the same problem that people could from majority university. So I thought, My education was good, and so then it was my job to go and get as much experience as I could. So I took on every job that I could, job within my organization, outside of my organization, anywhere that I thought I could do something to help, I did it. So that helped me a lot because I start getting, you know, letters and stuff from other organizations to my boss saying, Jennings, help me with this problem, help me with that problem. So I always believe that you need to make yourself valuable within your organization, but more importantly, valuable outside of your organization, because at some point, if you're moving up the career ladder, you're going to have somebody supporting you from outside of your organization. I was fortunate enough to be on the first Equal Opportunity Board NASA-wide that was started in the early 70s. And my experience on that board, got me exposed to all of the deputy center directors around the agency, all of the EEO officers, and it started laying the groundwork for, making equal opportunity a subject and a dialogue in the agency. And I think from that, over the years, we made progress. We have made enough, but we have made progress. We have people in positions. We have people that African American and senior positions here at the Space Center. And back then, I think the highest grade we had was like a GS-14 when I came in, and now we have 4 or 5 SAS blacks here at the center. So we've made progress around the agency. I think we need to continue that progress, because one of the things I found out during my career, if you are at the table, it makes a difference in the decision that come out of those meetings. So I know I was deputy center director down at the Kennedy Space Center, and I was able to lead and guide people to understand a lot of the issues that black people's had and things we needed to do to fix it. So the more people that you have at the table of diversity, the more diverse the decision will end up being. So I think that is important. Another thing is important when you're trying to develop people is expose those guys to special projects as much as possible. One of the things I did in my career, I see a young person that I thought had talent, and I put them on a committee or something, and a lot of those folks are the leaders in NASA today because they were given the opportunity, and then other people saw that they had ability. So those things are important too in developing people. It's like anything else, people have to feel comfortable with you, and you have to feel comfortable with people. And one of the ways that you can do that is socializing outside of work. I know one of the things that we had when I went down to Kennedy, we had like a government accounting association. So, and all of the people in the comptroller's organization, the management was a part of that. And I used to attend those meetings, and I used to try to get other blacks to go, and they said, well, I don't want to waste my time after work doing this. But, they didn't realize that, people have to feel comfortable with you too. If they don't know you and they don't know your background, when you're making a decision, if people got equally technical ability, you're going to pick the one that you feel more comfortable with. So you have to do that. It's important that you let people get to know you and you get to know people. So I think that's one of the important things that you try to do. I have kind of got a little 10-point, the Jennings ground rule for success, and one of those is, get to know your management and make sure your management get to know you, because that's very important that they know you, And like I said earlier, let people outside of your organization understand that you can help them and help them when you can. Treat everybody with respect. That's really important, no matter from the janitor to the guard to, the center director. Everybody should be treated with respect. That's one of the things that make me feel good today when I go back down to Kennedy or go to headquarters. The first person you run into is the security guys. And they, hey, Mr. Jennings, how you doing? You coming back? I'm saying, no, I think they've tired of me and they don't want me back. But it's good just to treat those guys well so that they would know you. And I learned that from the guy named George English down at Kennedy. He would always go down the hall, speak to the janitors, he'd speak to everybody. And so I said, that's a good point you need to do, just go out of your way to acknowledge people. And one of my things is that everybody is equally important. And I always get the question of, if we equally important, why don't we get paid the same? So my answer to that is that you're equally important, but you're not equally valuable, because I can hire a accountant a lot cheaper than I can hire an engineer. So it all works, in the long run of things. So. It's not good. I guess that's kind of bottom line. It's not good because I don't think enough African American students are getting exposed to STEM education early enough. Um, what happens is that a lot of the elementary school teachers that teach in math are not math majors, so they're doing it on the side. So they don't make math exciting. Um, it's hard for them, so they let the students think it's hard for them. I remember when my daughter was in the fifth grade and she was taking math, and she had helped her because I was a math major, so all of her work was an A, and at the end of at the middle of the semester, her grade came home and she had like a B plus in math. So I went to see the teacher, and the teacher wanted to know what the problem was. I told her I needed to understand her grading criteria, because every paper was an A, every test was an A, and I didn't understand how she got a B, because I didn't want her, thinking math was hard, and she'd worked hard, and so she got A's all the time because she earned them, but that's part of the thing what the teachers end up doing to discourage people. But one of the things we need to do is expose black kids to math and science as early as we can, and to let them see the importance of math and the things that can happen to them if they study math. So you need to start early, because math is one of those subjects where you build on what you learned yesterday. And if you miss a few steps in between, there's no way to catch up unless you go back and build that foundation. So what happened, kids miss the basic foundation, and by the time they get to middle school, they can never do math because they don't understand basic fractions and all this thing. So I think we gotta spend more time on the younger kids to get them to understand the concept, exposure to things like NASA, the Space and Rocket Center, and places like that, so they can see what's happening there, and then just provide better teacher training so that they can teach math to young people, so that they can understand it and make it fun. I look at math and science as one of those equalizing area, because no matter what your background is, if you know how to work the problem, can't anybody say it's wrong, So that's one of the reasons that I like math, because, based on, my knowledge of the formulas in the background, if I work the problem, it's right, no matter, what kind of, teacher you got or what they want to think. So, but we really, in this whole country, to me, we have to do a better job in STEM education. If you look around the world, we are ranked way down in the number of kids that study math and science all over the world. So, and to me, that's what made us great. Our technological advances and that. And if we don't pay more attention to that in this country, we're going to fall behind, and I don't think that we'll be able to continue to be the leader in the science area. I often tell people that the biggest war that we're in is in education and in the STEM area, because if we lose that war, the technology around the world will just overtake us. Early on when I was first started school at Alabama A&M, we didn't have a lot of the equipment. We didn't have the computers. We didn't have a lot of the lab equipment that they have now. But one of the things that we did have then, we had instructors that was really interested in teaching you to learn. So I know I often use Dr. Howard Foster as an example. He taught us physics, and we didn't have a lot of lab equipment to do the experiencing, but he made us derive our formulas mathematically. and work the whole problem and understand the concept from a theoretical standpoint as well as from an application. So we learned, I think we really learned the basis more, although we couldn't, didn't have the equipment to do a lot of the experiments. I remember one of the experiments that we did was like the electronic resistance. And, we set up this little thing and cooked the hot dog. And, most of us had never seen anything like that done, that you could plug in some electricity and do a little resistor thing and put a little fork on the end of it and put a hot dog on it to cook. So those small experiments gave you an idea of what you really could do with technology and how it worked. So I think today, the black colleges, they have a lot more equipment. And I don't know whether the students are as eager to put in the work to learn as in the past, but I think that they still do a good job in teaching the technical areas. For instance, Alabama A&M, when I went, the physics department was just getting started, and now they have a PhD in physics, so they've been able to bring in a lot of professors with PhDs to do a better job there. I think, going back to our earlier conversation, I think that one of the issues still is we don't start early enough with students. And a lot of students, when they come to college, they're not prepared to, to do STEM work. Because these days, I took calculus as a junior in college, and now, you're expected to know calculus as a freshman when you come to college. So we got to do a better job in the high school to getting students involved in these high-level math classes for them to be able to major in the STEM program once they get to college. Yeah, I think I'd go back to the whole thing of exposure. I think NASA can do a better job of exposing underprivileged kids to technology and let them know the possibility of things. We have a lot of programs, where we reach kids that's in school and already in some math classes or science classes, but we need to go into these underprivileged areas like the projects around Huntsville and just have technology demonstrations. NASA used to have a technology bus that used to go around from community to community and just to show people and kids could come through there to see that. I think we could spend more money on that again. We could go down to Bedford Coat or some of these projects around Huntsville, once a month, and just have kids get exposed to this. And NASA has a lot of, program that allow you to get within NASA. They got the interns, they got it's not called a co-op anymore, but pass, whatever they call them these days, pathway. But see, we get more kids involved in those programs, give them experience here to come in, and then hire them at the end of the program. Back in 70s and 80s, and 90s, NASA had some good programs with like Morehouse and Spelman, and they would pay the kids' way to college, but they didn't offer them jobs at the end of the program. So we were spending a lot of money educating kids, and those kids were going to graduate school, going working for other companies because we at NASA didn't offer them a job. So there ought to be a way where we say tell the kids, okay, we're going to give you this scholarship. If you go study at the end of this scholarship, then there's a job waiting for you at the end of this work. So I think we could do a better job in exposing NASA technology to kids at a younger age, especially kids that don't have the opportunity to come to, like the Space and Rocket Center, come to NASA because they have parents working here. Make a concerted effort to do that, and then structure our program so at the end of the education, if a kid wants to come to NASA, they have an opportunity to have a job there. So I'm working with a group that's trying to get these underprivileged or underserved peoples exposed to science and engineering. And one of the things we do, we go to the community and have like other people's come in to talk to them. There's a lot of people that want to help, but they don't know how to get to the kids. So this group is they're identifying the kids, they're working with them. So, you know, when they had the with my brother keeper program out here, you know, they was able to get NASA in touch with these kids and bring them out. So to get exposed and have somebody to work in those communities to do it, we're also working with the school system, the Huntsville school system on some programs to make sure we identify those kids. So I think those are the things we have to do, you know. Once you identify them and once you get them to where you can take them places, you know, there's money to do it, but to have the people that know where the kids are and can go and network in those communities, that's one of the things that's really lacking. So you got to work on doing that. It's a lot of work to be done, and one of the things we need more integration of all these efforts. You know, everybody see it as a problem. Everybody trying to do their little thing, but there's not a lot of coordinations into doing it. That's another thing we're trying to do is trying to coordinate some of the efforts that people are doing to work together to get a bigger umbrella of it. And one of my things is always that you can't just do it with the schools. You know, it's got to be done with the whole community, and you got to you know, you got to get the social services organization working with the education organization to be able to make an impact. You know, so you know, social service over doing one thing, the schools are doing another thing, but both of them have rules. So the problem is you don't have that bridge to get people talking together and working together to help the whole. You know, so that's one of the big things, especially with the schools. You know, it's, well, we can't teach this class unless we have X number of students having, and there's a certain level of qualification you got. Well, if you miss that step back there, you know, they're not going to take a 13-year-old and take him back to fractions again. So, you know, you just lost. So you got to have something in between that's willing to go take a kid where he's at and trying to bring him on, you know. So.